Excerpt from a local newspaper. Anonymous killer unknown, still at large. After weeks of unexplainable murders, the ominous unknown killer is still on the rise. After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story. I had a bad dream. I woke up in the middle of the night, says the boy. I saw that for some reason the window was open, and even though I remember it being closed before I went to bed, I got up and shut it once more. Afterwards, I crawled under my covers and tried to get back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling, like somebody was watching me. I looked up and nearly jumped out of my bed. There, in the little ray of light, illuminating from between my curtains, were a pair of two eyes. They weren't regular eyes. They were dark, ominous eyes. They were bordered in black and just plain out terrified me. That's when I saw his mouth. A long, hideous smile that made every hair on my body stand up. The figure stood there, watching me. Finally, for what seemed like forever, he said it. A simple phrase. But in a way only a madman could speak. He said, "Go to sleep." I let out a scream, and that's what sent him at me. He pulled up a knife, aiming at my heart. He jumped on top of my bed. I fought him. I kicked. I punched. I rolled around, just trying to kick him off me. That's when my dad busted in. The man threw the knife, and it went into my dad's shoulders. The man probably would have finished him off if one of the neighbors hadn't notified the police. They drove into the parking lot and ran towards the door. The man turned and ran down the hallway. I heard a smash, like glass breaking. As I came out of my own room, I saw that the window that was pointing towards the back of my house was broken. I looked out to it to see him vanish into the distance. I can tell you one thing. I'll never forget that face. Those cold, evil eyes and that psychotic smile will never leave my mind. Police are still on the lookout for this man. If you see anyone that fits the description in the story, please contact your local police department. Jeff and his family had just moved into the new neighborhood. His dad had gotten a promotion at work, and they thought it would be best to live in one of those fancy neighborhoods. Jeff and his brother Lou couldn't complain, though. A new house, a new better house. What was there not to love? As they were getting unpacked, one of the neighbors came by. "Hello," she said. I'm Barbara. I live across the street from you, and I just wanted to introduce myself and to introduce my son." She turned around and called her son over. "Billy, these are our new neighbors." Billy said, "Hi," and ran back to play in his yard. "Well," Jeff's mother said, "I'm Margaret, and this is my husband Peter and my two sons, Jeff and Lou." They each introduced themselves, and then Barbara invited them to her son's birthday party. Jeff and Lou were about to object, but when their mother said that they would love to. When Jeff and his family are done packing, Jeff went up to his mother. "Mom, why did you invite us some kid's party? If you hadn't noticed, I'm not some dumb kid." "Jeff," his mother said, "we just moved here. We should show that we want to spend time with our neighbors. Now we're going to that party, and that's final." Jeff started to talk, but stopped himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. Whatever his mother had said, it was final. He walked up to his room and plopped down on his bed. He sat there looking at his ceiling, when suddenly he got a weird feeling. Not so much a pain, but a weird feeling. He dismissed it as just some random feeling. He heard his mother call him down to get his stuff, and he walked down to get it. The next day, Jeff walked downstairs to get his breakfast and get ready for school. As he sat there, eating his breakfast, he once again got that feeling. This time it was stronger, and it gave him a slight tugging pain. As he once again dismissed it, him and Lou finished breakfast and walked down to the bus stop. They sat there waiting for the bus. Then, all of a sudden, some kids on a skateboard jumped over them, only inches above their laps. They both jumped back in surprise. "Hey, what the hell?" The kids landed and turned back to him. He kicked his skateboard up and caught it with his hands. The kids seemed to be about 12, 1 year younger than Jeff. He wore an Afro-style shirt and ripped jeans. Well, look what we got here, new meat." Suddenly, 2 other kids appeared. One was super skinny and the other super huge. "Well, since you're new here, I'd like to introduce myself. Over there is Keith." Jeff and Lou looked over to the skinny kid who had a doopy face, and you could expect a sidekick to have. And he's Troy. They looked over to the fat kid. Talk about a tub of lard. This kid looked like he hadn't exercised since he was crawling. And I, said the first kid, I'm Randy. Now, for all the kids in the neighborhood, there's a small price for a bus fare, if you catch my drift. Lou stood up, ready to punch the lights out of the kid's eyes, when one of his friends pulled out a knife. Tisk, tisk, tisk. I had hoped you'd be more cooperative, but it seems we must do things the hard way. The kid walked up to Lou and took his wallet out of his pocket. Jeff got that feeling again. Now it was truly strong, a burning sensation. He stood up, but Lou gestured for him to sit down. Jeff ignored and walked up to the kid. Listen here, punk. Give my brother's wallet back or else. Lou put the wallet back. Randy put the wallet in his pocket and pulled out his own knife. Oh, and what will you do? Just as he had finished the sentence, Jeff popped the kid in the nose. Randy reached for his face, but Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke it. Randy screamed, and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Toby and Keith rushed Jeff, but Jeff was too quick. He threw Randy to the ground, and Keith lashed out at him. Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped the knife and fell to the ground, screaming. Troy rushed him too, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He just punched Troy straight in the stomach, and Troy went down. As he fell, he puked all over. Lou could do nothing but watch in amazement at Jeff. Jeff, how did you do that? How did you... That was all he said, and they saw the bus coming. They knew they'd be blamed for the whole thing, so they started running as fast as they could. They looked back and saw the bus driver rushing over to Randy and the others as Jeff and Lou made it to school. They didn't dare tell what happened. All they did was sit and listen. Lou just thought of what his brother had done, beating up the kids. But Jeff knew it was something more, something scary. And as soon as he got that feeling how powerful it was, the urge to just hurt somebody. He didn't like how it sounded, but he couldn't help but feeling happy. He felt that strange feeling go away. Stay away for the entire day of school. Even though he'd walked home due to the whole thing near the bus, how now he probably wouldn't be taking the bus anyway. He felt happy. When he got home and his parents asked him how his day was, and he said in a somewhat ominous tone, "It was a wonderful day." The next day he heard a knock at the front door. He walked down to find 2 police officers at the door and his mother looking at him with an angry look. Jeff, these officers tell me that you attacked 3 kids. That wasn't irregular fighting, that there were stabs. Stabbed, son. Jeff's gaze fell on the floor and showed his mother it was true. Mom, they were the ones who pulled the knives on me and Lou. Son, one of the cops said, we found 3 kids, 2 stabbed and 1 having a bruise on his stomach, and now we have witnesses proving that you fled the scene. Now what does that tell us? Jeff knew it was no use. He could say that him and Lou had been attacked, but then there was no proof. But it was not them who had been attacked first. They couldn't say that they weren't fleeing, because, truth be told, they were. So Jeff could not defend himself or Lou. Son, call down your brother. Jeff couldn't do it, since it was him that beat up the kids. Sir, it was me. I was the one that beat up the kids. Lou tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me. The cop looked at his partner and they both nodded. Well, kid, looks like a year in juvie. Wait, Lou said. They all looked up to see him holding a knife, and the officers pulled their guns and locked on Lou. It was me. I beat up the little punks. They have the marks to prove it. He revealed cuts and bruises as if he had been in a struggle. Son, just put the knife down, said the officer. Lou held up the knife and dropped it to the ground. He put his hands up and walked over to the officers. No, Lou, it was me. I did it. Jeff had tears running down his face. Aw, poor bro. Trying to take the blame for what I did. Well, take me away. The police led Lou to the patrol car. Lou, tell them it was me. Tell them I was the one who beat up those kids. Jeff's mother put her hands on his shoulder. Jeff, please, you don't have to lie. We all know it's Lou. You can stop. Jeff watched helplessly as the cop car sped off with Lou inside. Moments later, Jeff's father pulled into the driveway. Sorry, I lost page. Pulled into the driveway. An hour or so, Jeff walked back to the house. Seeing his parents were both shocked and disappointed, he couldn't look at them. He couldn't see just how they thought of Lou when it was his fault. He just went to sleep and tried to think about the whole thing off. 2 days went by, and there was no word from Lou at JDC. No friends to hang out with, nothing but sadness and guilt. That was until Saturday, when Jeff is woken by his mother with a happy, sunshiny grin. "Jeff, it's the day," she said as she opened up the curtains and the light flooded in. "Wait, what's today?" "Why, it's Billy's party." Mom, you're joking, right?" "Jeff, we both know what happened. I think this party could be a good thing that brightens up the past few days. Now go get dressed." Jeff's mother walked out of the room downstairs to get herself dressed. He fought himself to get up. He picked out a random shirt and a pair of jeans and walked downstairs. He saw his mother and father all dressed up. His mother in a dress and his father in a suit, he thought. Why would they even wear such fancy clothes to a kid's party? "Son, is that what you're going to wear? Is that all you're going to wear?" "Better than wearing too much." "Now, Jeff, we may be overdressed, but this is how you go off to make an impression," his father said. Jeff grunted and went back to his room. "Just pick out something," his mother called. He looked around his closet for what he would call something fancy. He found a pair of black pants for special occasion and an undershirt. He couldn't find a shirt to go with it. He looked around and found only stripes and patterns, none of which goes with thing. Finally, he found a white hoodie and put it on. "You're wearing that?" they both said. His mother looked at her watch. "Oh, no time to change. Let's go," she said as she herded Jeff and his father out the door. They crossed the street over to Barbara's and Billy's house, knocked on the door. At it appeared that Barbara, just like his parents, were overdressed. As they walked inside, all Jeff could see were adults, but no kids. "The kids are out in the yard," Jeff said. "Jeff, how about you go meet them?" said Barbara. Jeff walked out into the yard full of kids, and they were running around in weird cowboy costumes and shooting plastic guns. He might as well have been standing there in a Toys R Us. Suddenly he came up to him and handed him a toy gun. "You want to play?" "No, kid, I'm too old for that stuff." But the kid looked at him with a puppy dog face. "Please?" said the kid. "Fine." He put on the hat and started to pretend to shoot at the kids. At first he thought it was totally ridiculous, but then he started to actually have fun. It might not have been super cool, but for the first time he'd done something to take his mind off Lou. So he played with the kids for a while until he heard a noise. A weird rolling noise. Then it hit him. Randy, Troy, Keith all jumped over the fence in their skateboards. Jeff dropped the fake gun and ripped off the hat. Randy looked at Jeff with a burning hatred. "Hello, Jeff, is it? We have some unfinished business." Jeff saw his bruised face. "I think we're even. I beat the crap out of you and you got my brother sent to juvie." Randy got an angry look. "Oh no, I don't go for even, I go for winning. You may have kicked our asses that one day, but not today." And with that, Randy rushed at Jeff. They both fell to the ground. Randy punched Jeff in the nose, and Jeff grabbed him by the ears and headbutted him. Jeff pushed Randy off of him, and they both rose to their feet. Kids were screaming, and parents were running out of the house. Troy and Keith had both pulled out guns out of their pockets. "No one interrupts, or guts will be flying," they said. Randy pulled out a knife on Jeff and stabbed it into his shoulder. Jeff screamed and fell to his knees. Randy started kicking him in the face. After 3 kicks, Jeff grabbed his foot and twisted it, causing Randy to fall on the ground. Jeff stood up and walked towards the back door. Troy grabbed him. "Need some help?" He picked Jeff up by the back of his collar and threw him through the patio door. As Jeff struggled to stand, he is kicked down to the ground. Randy repeatedly starts kicking Jeff until he starts coughing up blood. And that'll be it for part 1. Thank you guys so much for watching. Part 2 is definitely coming in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Part 2 will be right